I'm a holistic registered nurse with over 40 years experience and an energy medicine practitioner. And when Ken spoke to me about speaking, it wasn't necessarily about energy medicine because I understand most of you understand what that is already. He was more interested in how I came to be an energy medicine practitioner, especially since I come from the Midwest. I live in Kansas currently. I did spend 20 years in Colorado, but how did I come to this? So basically, he asked me to speak about my life's journey, my spiritual path. So I'm going to start with my childhood. I was led to be a nurse, and I knew from the age of 5 that I wanted to be a nurse. And you may wonder how I can know I was 5 years old. Well, it was because Santa Claus brought my sister and I these dolls that were the same height as my sister and I. They could move and walk and everything. And they had these outfits. One was a bride and one was a nurse. My sister got the nurse, and this 5-year-old was mad. Didn't Santa know that I was going to be a nurse? I didn't even know what a nurse was, but I knew at that time I was going to be a nurse. So that began my guidance through my lifetime. I attended Catholic grade school, and that's, certainly you receive spiritual messages at that time. And while I don't recall any specific nudge that I got, I definitely had an affinity of the Virgin Mary. I mean, she was my go-to when I pray. She is with me today, always. She has helped me through good times and bad times. And so I finished high school, went to college, got married, had a baby, got divorced, moved back close to my parents for the support system. And I hadn't been back in that area very long, and my family kind of fell apart. We had quite a few deaths. My brother passed, then my mother. The following year, my father had cancer and died a year after that. Over a period of 8 years, we lost like 10 or 12 people that had been at our Christmas table. Difficult time. And so, of course, I'm helping my parents grieve. I'm the nurse. I'm the take care of people. I'm helping my son with his grieving. It was just a very stressful time, and all I could do was survive. And had I not had faith, I don't know how I would have gotten through that very difficult time. I had many a talk with God. I was very angry with God. And I cussed him out a few times, knowing that that was okay because he still loved me. And that was just very, very special. And like I said, I couldn't have gotten through all of that without knowing that there was a higher presence that was guiding me and leading me. And I did make it through that difficult time. I was introduced to energy medicine at that time, but I was surviving. I had no time, no energy to really spend on anything else. And so my focus was my son. I was a single mother. I helped raised him all by myself. He turned out great. But when he was getting ready to go off to college, it's like, gosh, he's my world. I have lived just for him. I've only taken care of him. What am I going to do? And it came to me, and again, this was spirit. It's like you're going to travel as a nurse because I had to get out of the house. It would have driven me crazy had I stayed there. And I love traveling, so it was a perfect fit. So I moved. I went to Vermont. I went to Colorado. I went to Connecticut. I went to Colorado. And in Colorado, I was offered a job, and I stayed there for 20 plus years because I loved the lifestyle. I loved the mountains. I was called to the mountains. Again, that spiritual calling, that support, the strength that I received just from hiking and being in nature. And that's a place where you can be in nature, whether it's winter or summer. I mean, I love biking, hiking, skiing, the whole shebang. I loved Colorado and all that it had to offer. But during my time there, working at various hospitals, I was working at this one place, and as a nurse, and hospitals have become toxic places to work for a lot of people. I was in my 50s, and the place where I was just, it was going to kill me. I was unhealthy, and I kept saying, this place is going to kill me. I need to do something different. Didn't know what I wanted to do, and just kept waiting for that message. I was working in the perioperative area, meaning I prepped people for surgery, recovered them, and a weekend. So you take call with that. The weekend position came open where you work every weekend, and I thought about it. It would get me away from the toxicity, but it was not. I had a lifestyle. I did stuff every weekend. I was a busy, busy person. My social life was full, and it just did not meet with my requirements. But one day at work, these words came out of my mouth: I will work weekends. And I actually stopped to look around to see who said those words and realized it was me. And it was Mary that had made those words come out of my mouth. So I worked weekends, which then gave me 5 days off during the week. And what am I going to do with it? This busy person who's always been working. And it's like, oh, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I went to a friend who did Tibetan cranial work. And the first visit, she makes you come 3 days in a row. And on my second day, I got up and she said, "You're a healer." And I'm like, "Well, yes, I'm a nurse. Of course, I'm a healer, right?" And she's like, "No, there's more to it than just healing." And so she introduced me to Healing Touch. I lived in Boulder, Colorado at the time. Cynthia Hutchison was the executive director for the Healing Touch program. And so I called her, talked to her about what it's like to be a practitioner, set up a session so I could see what it was like. So I went one morning, I had my session, and I was leaving there going, great. I did not feel a thing. How can I do this as a passion, as a lifetime? This doesn't work. So I need to figure out what I want to do next. Because again, I'm still in that stuck position. I had picked up an extra shift that evening. So I went to work, and about halfway through, I realized I was kind of singing going down the hall. I had a lilt to my walk. I was light. I felt good for the first time in several months. And so it's like, oh, there must be something to this Healing Touch stuff. So I went through the program. I was done in 2 years, got certified, became an instructor. And I have thirst for knowledge. So I continued to learn more and more and more. So I was taking advanced work, coursework with Jana Mall, who had energy medicine specialist, and just continued to expand my practice. Jana did develop her own program from basics to the advanced, and I helped her write a lot of the coursework. And we were just in the process of launching this new foundational coursework that she had developed when she passed away. It was devastating to all of us. She was a force. If any of you knew her, she was a force to be reckoned with. She had vim and vigor and was just an awesome person, awesome mentor for me. And her husband was like, she would want this class to go on. You're going to have to, I would like for you to teach it. And I had to think about it for a little bit. So I hung up the phone, and it didn't take me very long because Jana was back here chattering, going, "You will teach this and you will go forward with it." And so I did. And in recognizing that I was going to be teaching that class, I looked back. So she passed away in July. The class was in August. I had gone to see her in May because she lived in Colorado and I was in Kansas by this time. Um, and I went because we were working together to build the coursework for energy medicine specialist. We were prepped and ready for the class in August. We did prep work for the next coming classes. We did the outlines, etc. We worked really hard for about 2.5 days. As we were ending the end of the day, because a lot of passion went into this, I looked at her and I said, "Where does Jana stop and energy medicine specialist start? Where is the separation between the two?" She goes, "There is no separation. I am energy medicine specialist. And when I'm gone, this will continue to live on." I didn't realize that at the time it was an omen. And so I accepted the position of lead instructor and to carry on her life's work and to pass that on to others. So what I am now doing is I've already gotten some people to become instructors. So it's not just one person. We need more than one person keeping this education going because she is the work she did was just very special, scientifically based, spiritually based, and it's a mixture of both. With EMS, we teach the how and the why that energy medicine works. So that's kind of my path that led me to be the owner of Energy Medicine Specialist. Now, as for my energy work, because I've done that for well over 10 years, I have learned so much. And as I said, when I first got into energy medicine, I was a wreck. That's why I like that song so much. I was broken. And then I learned to fly, and I learned to fly through using energy medicine. I used to have a knot in my stomach that was there. It was just always there. Just that feeling of never being good enough, never being, just always searching for something, needing to be a perfectionist, and it was never good enough. I had those voices in my head, those gremlins, I call them. You didn't do this right. You didn't say the right words. You didn't do the right thing. Just always that negative feedback that I was constantly giving myself. Finding this work, learning the self-care that you have to do this work, got rid of those voices and got rid of that knot in my stomach. It has brought me an inner peace and bliss. And that is the work that I take with my clients, is helping them find their bliss, find their path that's going to help them find that inner peace so that they can get rid of those gremlin voices, get rid of that knot in the stomach. Along with this is bringing peace and balance. And that's the mantra that I use when my clients, when I fill them up with light, love, peace, and joy. And they really feel that. My one friend and I went to India to teach healing touch, which was very beautiful work, because these people, we may have had a language barrier, but they got it. They knew it because they are a spiritual people having a physical experience. Well, the most of us here in the Western world have physical experience, or are in a physical body trying to have spiritual experiences. But the thing that struck me when I was in India, we went to this wishing tree. We had to climb up this big hill to get to the wishing tree. And along the way, there were sheds or little storefronts that we could stop at. And we were to write what our wish was for the wishing tree. And mine was to be an advocate for peace, to make me that change agent for peace. And so that's become my life's mission, is helping bring peace to the world, one step at a time, one person at a time, one class at a time. I know I'm at my best when I give treatments to my clients. It's when I am closest to God. Also, when I'm giving treatments, we always call upon whatever the divine is, whatever name you use for the divine. Mine happens to be God, but I always call upon Mary because she's my person, my spiritual person. And sometimes, being human, I may forget that step to make sure that I call her in. And one time I had forgotten to do that step, feeling guilty about it. I apologized to Mary and says, "I'm so sorry, I forgot to call you in." And her response was, "It's okay. It is okay for you to forget. I am always here with you." And that again was that nudge to just continue doing the work, trusting that I'm doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing. I may not do it perfectly, and it doesn't matter, because I have my angels, my guides. They are always there, making sure that things are going to go the way that they are supposed to go. And as for peace, being a light worker, the light always overcomes the darkness. And we are in a lot of chaos right now. We're in a lot of dark area. And this is what Jan spoke to earlier, all this dark chaos. But when we go through a step at a time with our light and with our peace, we are the ones that will bring peace to this earth. And you have to go through chaos to change. And we are changing, we are shifting. The world is shifting. And I believe we are all peacemakers, bringing our light back to the world, listening to your nudges, listening to your guides, telling you what to do. And it is all of us coming together. We will overcome the darkness. And that's the message that I give to all of my classes that I do, and that I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you.